For me, the creepiest part of Resident Evil Village was definitely House Beneviento, just one of the locations we'll be taking a look at during this video, which also includes of course how Baby works off camera, along with what exactly is Chris doing on his phone during this scene at the reservoir. We'll also be taking our chances at Heisenberg's factory.
I'll take my chances.
And then going right through to the end to take a closer look at the mystery character. First of all, a request that came through on Twitter, which was to take a closer look at the flasks which contain Rose, mainly to see if there is anything inside them, and I can definitely understand why you may think there is, but as you can see, as we go inside, there isn't. It's just a well-designed texture on the outside of the flask that makes it look as though there is.
I've been waiting for so long. I'd make a much better daughter than Rose.
I'm sure by now I don't need to explain what's coming next, but after picking up the fuse box key, possibly the most haunting character I've seen in a video game for quite some time appears. To be honest, for most of you, this isn't going to come as much of a surprise, but it has been requested several times, so here it is. We're going to be taking a look at how the baby works off camera. Now, it is true, I'm not going to lie about it, and it's not that exciting, because most of the time the baby just spawns and despawns when out of shot of the player. But when hidden inside a locker, it does wander around the map, possibly further than you'd imagine. When entering the lift, take a look at how the baby's position changes, just to make sure it's the right distance away for the gates to close. Another request coming from KDB, one of my Twitter followers and a patron of the channel, was asking how Donna and Angie work. Well, I'm afraid it's much the same outcome, with Angie disappearing off camera when out of shot. Sorry it's not more interesting, KDB, but the good news is this is the last time in the video we'll be watching a character disappear off camera. And I suppose we can't leave the house without watching Ethan get eaten.
What the hell? Research post or something? What the fuck are they doing here?
Get off of me! Stay the fuck down!
Ethan!
Did you ever wonder what Chris is looking at on his phone during this scene? Yeah, me too, so let's check it out. It turns out it is the picture of Miranda that we see much later in the game, when Chris tells us he's just received the images minutes earlier.
Take a look at this. My men sent those pictures a few minutes ago.
Chris, you liar. You've had them all this time. Something we haven't done much of in the previous videos covering Resident Evil Village was to take a look what's way outside the maps. So in this one, we're going to do just that, and I'm going to be showing you what's out of bounds beyond the mountains. Now, one thing we did look at in a previous video was outside the Winter's home, where we saw a skydome which, thanks to Ivory Falcon for getting in touch in the comments, found out it was taken at Kensington Gardens, and it seems the same skydome is used practically throughout the whole game. You can see it better in the original video, but I always find it amazing to know everything we see is all within this dome, or Kensington Gardens in this instance. Not that under normal circumstances you'd ever know. You may have noticed that when being knocked into the water by Moreau, he always swallows us in the same place. Now you may be thinking, teleportation. And I was thinking the same thing. However, something that may surprise you is that rather than teleport, Ethan actually gets hit that hard, he flies to that very location. Also, whilst we're in the water, you may have noticed that normally it looks quite murky, whilst here on camera looks crystal clear. That's because the murky look of the water comes from 4 textures placed in front of where the camera would normally be. One last thing I found pretty cool about Moreau's mutated form is that if we fly inside its mouth, we can find hidden inside the model is the final form we fight later on. Pretty cool how this is always concealed within the outer skin. After placing the giant's chalice, did you ever notice how it seems to take ages to reach the bottom of the lift shaft, even though if we take a look back, we haven't travelled that far underground? This is because the developers used a sneaky little optical illusion to trick the player into thinking they're travelling further than they are. Looking from the bottom up, we can see how the lift stops midway. Then it isn't the lift that's moving down, it's the walls that are taking over and starting to move up past us. Therefore, at this point, the player isn't moving at all. It just seems that way.
Last chance. You don't want to find out what's in that hole.
I'll take my chances.
Your funeral.
After Storrrm comes out to play, I wanted to know what was in the hole he leaves behind. I was surprised to find out that there are 2 other Storrrms hidden behind here, as I always thought it was just a one-off creation, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Heisenberg's factory is one of those places that's a bit of an odd one to look at, mainly because it's so huge, you'd think there'd be plenty to see, which makes me feel like I should include areas like this in the videos. But to be honest, there isn't much in here that you can't see already from the various platforms we can stand on during this segment. One thing I did want to show in more detail though was Ethan's fall from the top of the factory into the water below. Take a look at how he changes direction mid-fall to line up with the water.
You really should have taken my deal. You'll be frozen in the afterlife. Rose's power is one. This can't be the end for me! I must kill her!
Already on the way.
Another little developer optical illusion now, and one of my favourites just because it's so damn simple. The Duke's carriage isn't moving at all, other than the jiggle that makes it look as though it is, of course. We're gonna just skip ahead to after defeating Miranda and take a look at her Berserk form. This was something I was pretty impressed by as it's so huge. In fact, it is so huge, it overshadows some of the mountains in the background.
God damn it. Goodbye, Rosemary.
Ethan.
Whoa. So, behind the blackout that we normally see, everything disappears as the cutscene changes to Mia.
What was that?
I told you to sit down.
BSAA didn't send soldiers. This is a bioweapon.
What the hell were they thinking?
Wait, hold on. I just want to check something out here. So you're telling me the BSAA crew we saw fast roping from the back of a V-22 are actually bioweapons? Holy f***. Alright, so it is here, the part you may have been waiting for. Who is the mystery person we see way over in the distance just before the end? I'm guessing quite a few of you may have seen this already by now. However, to those who haven't, as I do know some of you have been waiting for my videos and I really do appreciate that, then here it is. Just before I go, I'd like to say a huge thank you for the support from my patrons and members. If you have enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could hit the like button, as it really helps support the channel. So, who is the mystery character? You can probably tell by the bandages and missing fingers, it is none other than Ethan, looking fairly traumatised, though I guess that is pretty understandable. So I guess the question now is, why and how?